Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast where it is too late to purchase stock in Smackdown. It's lost in the Midcard. What a big day this is. Lots of news coming down with the brand split, and we have got a lot to talk about with that. Along with Monday Night Raw after Extreme Rules, what happened there? A lot happened on that show. We'll get all into all of that and much more. But first off, I am your host, Jeremy Bennett. I'm on the Twitter at JBHuskers, and thank you to SpiderDuck.net for being our host and enabling us to be on iTunes and any of your favorite podcasting apps. All you got to do is search for Lost in the Midcard and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you'll know when a new episode hits your ears every Thursday and then also a Monday after every WWE pay-per-view. We're also on YouTube, and you can subscribe to us there as well. And the links to both are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard. We're also on the Twitter at LITMC Podcast. As always, my co-host, he is on the Twitter at RawFShowtime. It is Mr. Matt Black. Matt, how are you doing this evening?
What a difference 24 hours makes, right, JB?
Yeah, you were pissed off at Raw, which we'll get into at the end of the show.
Very angry with Raw. Yes.
I liked it a lot better the second time around. I must have just been in a don't give a fuck mood or something Monday night. I liked it a little better. I think that in the end it'll work out, but we'll discuss that into more detail. And yeah, 24 hours later, maybe a little more than 24 hours later, this morning, gigantic news hit the airwaves right at the beginning of most people's work days. WWE.com posts this morning, a SmackDown shakeup is about to completely reshape all of WWE. Beginning July 19th, the second longest running weekly episodic program in television history, SmackDown will move from Thursday to Tuesday nights, sorry Dixie, and will air live each and every week for the first time ever, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the USA Network, the exclusive cable home to WWE's marquee properties. Well, no, I think NXT is pretty marquee, but this bold move will have major ramifications for all of WWE and exemplify the new era as both Raw and SmackDown will feature their own unique rosters and rivalries following an imminent superstar draft. WWE's flagship programs will leverage both the incredible depth of our talent roster, distinct storylines, and the unpredictable nature of live TV. As WWE Chairman Mr. McMahon said, this move will undoubtedly build more excitement and deepen engagement with our fans around the world. With so many explosive competitors emerging from WWE, NXT, and top superstars like John Cena and Seth Rollins returning from injury, don't forget Randy Orton soon too, WWE's star-powered roster has never been stronger. Its historic division and monumental revolution of the SmackDown shift to a live format each week reflects the excitement and unpredictability of the WWE's new era. What awaits SmackDown on its new night starting this July? Which live shows will claim your favorite superstars? What will this mean for all of the future of sports entertainment? Stay tuned as WWE prepares to shake it up like never before. That comes directly from WWE.com. The article itself broken by Variety this morning as well. Matt, we didn't have much to talk about this week until this happened, and this may just double the length of our show today.
I would certainly say so.
Let's first off give us your overall thoughts in a nutshell on this entire announcement from today.
This could be the best decision WWE's done in a long time. Anybody who's a regular listener of this podcast knows that I've been calling for them to do a brand split since sometime like late last year. You know, this is something that we've wanted as a podcast because we feel here that the talent roster, the WWE is currently so deep, and there's so many people that are being overlooked because everybody's just stacked on each other under one overall roster. By splitting them up, by splitting up the creative teams, by splitting up the championships, you put everybody at a lot more equal footing, and the people that have not been given the opportunity to turn into main event players now get that chance to be brought up a level that could not be possible without something like the draft and the brand split from happening. This is great. This is the best thing WWE's done in a long time. And I went from being very pessimistic about the product after Raw on Monday night to being cautiously optimistic. So yeah. We will see. I don't want to get too excited. We've only just found out about this in the last 24 hours. But I'm very hopeful that good things are coming from this, and that 1 year from now we'll be talking about how the brand split changed WWE and professional wrestling as a whole for the better.
Yeah, I've as you've said, as we've talked about multiple times on this show, I've always been a little cool on the brand split, a little I don't really want it, but I've kind of changed my tune to a little more excitement. I think there's certain things that need to be in place for me to fully embrace it, and I don't think all of it's going to happen. My number one wish list for the brand extension is one world title, but according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio tonight, it sounds like there are 2 world titles. And I'm not a fan of that, but Matt, a little image popped up just a couple hours ago from the 24-hour wrestling, and we posted this picture on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lost in the Midcard. Go check it out. It looks like the second world championship is going to be an homage to the winged belt, and it's going to be completely silver, Matt.
I don't know if it's actually going to be completely silver. I don't think the paint was done on that photo yet. I think the plates were done, and I don't think that championship has been painted. So I do believe that championship will end up being gold. Okay. I do not believe it'll be silver, because if it's silver, if you have one silver championship and one gold championship, you have the perception that the silver championship is not as important as the gold one. So I have a feeling that while those plates are being designed, they will be painted gold before this is all said and done. Like those plates that we see right now, I think those were just designed, and they had not been painted yet. So I believe both championships will be gold. At the same token, I think this is I actually like the idea of 2 WWE or 2 world championships, because if they are being legitimately serious about separating these brands, and you have the WWE Network, which could immediately become an even greater value than it already is. Because if we get more pay-per-views now, yearly, and besides like the big 4, Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, if every other pay-per-view is either a Raw SmackDown, a Raw pay-per-view, or a SmackDown pay-per-view, they both do need their own world championship. That honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't have a problem with that at all, especially if they're splitting the pay-per-views, and we're going to get more pay-per-views because of this brand split, which, like I said, when a pay-per-view is $55 a pop, if you're going to add more of those to the WWE Network when it's only $10 a month, that's freaking great. And I think it's awesome. The Winged Eagle Championship from the 80s is the title that I grew up on when I was a kid. It very much tugs at my heartstrings, and to see that championship in a form return and held by some of my favorite talent in today's era, honestly chokes me up a little bit. And I'm really excited about it.
Part of my wish list was one world title and no separate pay-per-views. I would like to see at least interactions between these brands once a month. just interactions, not matches or anything like that. I'd like to see interactions and maybe one impromptu match for the pay-per-view. Also, part of my plan for the brand split was to have all champions on both shows to allow for multiple feuds. So sometimes you could have the champion in 2 separate feuds, and then maybe you might, every once in a great moon, put those 2 from each show together in a pay-per-view, and they got to fight for a chance at the title. I think that would put more importance on titles, but
my original hope for the championships was that the Intercontinental title would be on Raw, the United States Championship would be on SmackDown, and the World, the Women's, and the Tag Team titles would be crossed between Raw and SmackDown. Like those champions could go back and forth between both shows because they're the main factors of those divisions. But if they're going to be 2 different world titles, I mean, are we going to get 2 different women's titles? Or are we going to get 2 different sets of tag titles? There's so many questions that the championships are probably the biggest question mark on this brand split right now, and it's an exciting time to speculate because we really don't know what's going to happen with this. But one thing I do not want all of one division on one show and all of one division on another show. I don't want SmackDown to be all about tag teams. I don't want Raw to be all about the women's division, because when you're doing that, you're taking away the opportunity to create the new talent anyway, because then you're limiting them to one show, and you're still going to only use a couple at a time, and that's not going to benefit anybody in the tag team or the women's division. So either let them cross forward back and forth or make a championship for both. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but like I said, this is a fun time to speculate, and I like it. You know, honestly, there's a lot of people out there, JB, that just say, I mean, I know you said you weren't a fan, you weren't like fully on board with the brand split all these months when I've been saying it should happen. But think about it. There's a lot of people that just don't watch SmackDown because it's taped.
Yeah.
And automatically because it's taped, or because they do rematches from Raw, or storylines never progress over there, people automatically dismiss SmackDown as a show you don't need to watch. Well, guess what, people? SmackDown is officially must-see TV. Because if you want to see, let's say you want to see Finn Balor when he comes up to the main roster, but guess what? He's only on SmackDown. I guess you're watching SmackDown on Tuesday nights because that's the only place you're going to see your guy. And it's going to be live. You're not going to be able to go read spoilers 2 days ahead of time to already know what happened to decide if you want to watch this show or not. I love it. I think it's great. I think moving to Tuesday nights was the best thing they could have done, because if they would have kept this as a tape show on Thursday, it would not have been nearly as impactful as it is now. Because of when it's live, it's important in the minds of the fans. And this allows SmackDown to feel like it's on equal footing with Raw. And that's, as a wrestling brand, that's all you could ever ask for, is to be on equal footing as the flagship show of professional wrestling. So I love this. I'm excited about it. I guess you can probably tell from the way I'm talking. I think this. I truly believe this is the best thing that could have happened to WWE in a really long time. And if they don't fuck it up, I think we could be heading towards another boom period, man.
The other promotions, New Japan, Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, TNA, be on notice for guys that are expiring contracts, because WWE is going to be expanding that roster. Another
coming for you.
Another rumor that has kind of come about on this is that SmackDown will be possibly home to the new Cruiserweight Championship. So that means possibly the winner of the Cruiserweight tournament is going to be awarded the Cruiserweight Championship and be on SmackDown. And of course, they'll probably sign a few of those guys. Obviously, most of them probably go to NXT.
I think they'll sign almost all of them now.
All 32?
Woo. Dude, if they're looking to sign these people like they're... I guarantee you, dude, if they're looking to sign the people like they do and they're already interested enough in these guys to bring them in, keep in mind some of these guys are already under deals. You know, Ciampa's in there, Gargano's in there. I mean, there's people already in this tournament that are already contracted under WWE. I would not be surprised to see at least half of these people signed. Like Zack Sabre Jr., Cedric Alexander, people like that. I think all these guys are going to be those talents like that are all going to be signed to WWE deals. Whether they end up on NXT, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, this is exciting times. And honestly to God, there might be this might be a reason Bobby Roode hasn't debuted on NXT yet. How do we know they're not just going to put Bobby Roode on the main roster?
And they could very well do so, and that's perfectly fine.
And I hear him and Young are done. I hear the deals are done. I hear both of them already signed. I hear they completed their medical, and I heard the contracts and everything are done, and they're just waiting for the right time. And the right place might be bringing them up to the main roster instead of putting them on NXT. This is very interesting. There's so many things in play right now, dude. This is exciting. This is exciting times that we have not ventured in ever before here on Lost in the Midcard. So this has a lot of potential to be very good for professional wrestling and WWE as a whole.
The belief on Wrestling Observer Radio is this is a completely deep brand split, not like 2003. This is going to be wedged completely separate, and outside of the Royal Rumble.
If they're correct on that, they've got to have brand only pay-per-views. They can't be conversing every month.
No.
And honestly, that makes the draft every year 100 times more important. If these guys are only in the same building 4 times a year, not counting the draft, when the draft happens, that's a big event. That'll be the biggest Raw of the year every year when they hold the draft. So
it became a shitty. It was a poor Raw when they were doing drafts down back in the days of the brand split. There were draft shows that were just horrendous and just like, oh really? I mean, this is a bad Raw. With a deep true brand split, it definitely would put more meaning into the draft. And of course, that draft coming up. So the next 8 weeks are going to be very interesting to see what kind of information comes out. I'm sure we're going to probably have a little bit here and there every week come out in rumors.
I have heard from people within the company that the rumor is July 11th for the draft. So if you have tickets to Raw on July 11th, I didn't double check where that location is, but if you have tickets for July 11th Raw, you might get a pretty special one because I'm hearing that's the night of the actual draft itself.
Detroit, Michigan.
There you go. What the crowd that Shane McMahon returned in? They gave them that awesome show, that awesome the fan hype all night. What a great way to reward that Detroit crowd by giving them the draft. I love it. I love everything about it. That's great. Very smart booking by WWE.
Typically burning questions when we do have that on our show. That's usually towards the end of the show, but I mean, it's kind of a big deal. So we're going to go ahead and go right into it after talking about the brand split here. First off, another thing with house shows, the brand split is actually going to be a lot simpler and better for the talent. It's going to be a lot less stressful on them as well. They'll be splitting the shows up. They'll probably even run some live events on Mondays. Even
I really hope they don't do that.
I don't.
I hope Monday and Tuesday night the talents that aren't working get a well-deserved night off. And what I do like about the fact that they're going to be split touring as Raw and SmackDown, the people that are going to these shows now, you're going to know what you're getting. Because WWE Live, you don't really know who's going to get, and sometimes they swap people around, and you don't really know what's going on. But now, starting this summer, if you go to a Raw Live show in August, you're going to know who's going to be on there. You're not going to be bummed out that the guy from SmackDown isn't on there because you know for a fact that he's not going to be there. I think this will be a lot better for their house show business because people are going to know who's on Raw, who's on SmackDown, and that's going to help. I think that's going to help have their house show business too. I think it's great.
Yeah, so let's get into some questions here. We did talk about this, but let's go ahead and just break it down specifically. Should there be 2 world champions?
If they're going to be doing separated pay-per-views, I think they should be. Yes. And I don't mind it. I think having two separate world titles during the brand split allowed it to create new champions that we would have never seen otherwise. CM Punk's first title was the World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus, JBL had that long run on SmackDown that he probably would have never had without it.
Also, also on top of that, you get magical moments like what happened with HBK and Angle. They were on separate brands, never faced each other, clashed at the Rumble, and had a classic at WrestleMania. So that also makes WrestleMania more must see.
I agree. I think WrestleMania would be one of the few, as I said, one of the few events where not only talent would be on the same show, but talent could face each other.
Mm-hmm. Because the Rumble could set up those matches.
Yep.
And then one guy invades Raw that later on that Monday after the Rumble, somebody from SmackDown comes over and jumps the guy from Raw, and there you go. Should they split the pay-per-views?
I think they should split them, and I think there should be more of them to give both brands equal footing. I think there should be more pay-per-views every month, and there should be more for Raw, more for SmackDown. That way they both get equal footing. We get more value for the WWE network, and I think it's great. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
2003, it was not a good idea because we had to shell out $50-$60, but in the era of the WWE network, split pay-per-views, I was saying,
and the roster wasn't nearly as good then either.
No,
the roster's a lot deeper now than it was. You're not gonna get Heath Slater versus Fandango on a Raw pay-per-view in September.
Why not?
Because the roster. Really,
I want it.
Stop. Rosters are going to be deeper than that. That's not a pay-per-view worthy match.
Like I said, my blueprint was one world title, and the talent can be together on the same show once a month. I thought you're split for the whole month. You come together once a month for some interaction, some interesting backstage.
I would be more okay with that if there was only one world championship.
And
if there's
also
two world championships, I think the brands need to stay the fuck away from each other.
And then on top of that, I said, but have brand specific WWE network specials. You have them combined for the pay-per-views, but they have a special. You have a Raw special in January, middle of January sometime. You have a SmackDown special in February, another Raw special in March, something like that. But it right now with the rumors that are coming out, it does not look like it is going to go that way. It is going to be two champions, but it's going to be a complete separation. So if it's that way,
honestly, if it's a complete separation, that makes the main, like let's say they get together the four major pay-per-views. Automatically, those four major pay-per-views mean 10 times more than they've meant before. Because let's face it, when's the last time Survivor Series has really felt like a super important show?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
A lot of people will argue that Money in the Bank has eclipsed it.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, maybe even Money in the Bank will be the pay-per-view to replace Survivor Series as a pay-per-view that everybody has to be on, or at least, a split roster there. But those events, if you only have a couple a year where the rosters converge with each other, those events are a lot more special than they were before. And it really it makes it feel real legitimately more like you actually have an opportunity to get some real life dream matches that you couldn't get otherwise. If they truly let SmackDown and Raw compete against each other, like SmackDown is totally, like they're saying different creative teams, different writers, all that, and they're truly separate championships, separate away from each other, and you eventually get to have your favorites from Raw and SmackDown go at it after a year. That's gonna be really fucking cool. I'm excited, man. I think we're gonna get some really good shit out of this.
I fully agree. I am a lot more on board than I was a week ago if you were talking brand split with me. Who should be the GM for SmackDown? I got a good idea.
Well, I have two suggestions, but I don't think they'll use either.
Okay, what's your suggestions?
I would do Sting or Daniel Bryan.
All right, here's what I thought.
I just think Shane's going to be on one and Stephanie's going to be on the other. I would do something totally different, and I would. I really like Sting's general manager run on Impact. I think he would be a really good on-air character for WWE, and if Daniel Bryan wanted to step back into WWE, some Mick Foley-esque general manager for SmackDown.
My number one thought was Paul Heyman, an homage to the Big Six era of SmackDown when Heyman was a writer and SmackDown was better than Raw.
I don't think Heyman would want to do that unless Heyman actually had legitimate creative control over the brand.
Yeah. So here is my other legitimate idea. Promote William Regal from NXT to SmackDown.
Okay, and NXT.
Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. That way, Daniel Bryan doesn't have to travel.
I can't hate that. Like Brie's in charge of like the women's division down there.
It's like a good version of it's like a face version of the Authority. The two of them together.
You know what? I never thought about that, but that'd be pretty cool. But I mean, you could totally Brie Bella on SmackDown.
Yeah, well, it's like if Brie wants to settle, if they want to actually have a baby and such, I don't think they want to be traveling all over the place.
I don't know. I love Regal on NXT. He fits so perfectly there, and he's always at the Performance Center, helping out the talent on a daily basis. I don't know if I'd want Regal away from that environment, because I think he's more beneficial to the next generation of stars down there than he would be on the main roster.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, SmackDown is going to kind of be the new era of the television part, especially if they have the cruiserweights and such. We did touch on this earlier, but
did you imagine Mauro calling some cruiserweight matches?
Ooh! Hey, hold on to that thought.
Mamma mia!
Pulverize the plums! Do you like the idea of having all champions on both shows?
No, not all champions. No.
I did. Because I thought it's a showcase for those who have gold right now. But that's with my blueprint of the brand split, which doesn't sound like it's going to be the blueprint of the brand split. So we also touched on this earlier. We know 3 hours is too long, but should SmackDown be 3 hours to be on par with Raw?
And you said
no. You said no.
Absolutely not. Yeah, we talked about on the air. I definitely do not want to see SmackDown go to 3 hours. I would much prefer Raw to go back to 2.
How would you set up the announced teams?
I would drop it back down to 2 men. I would have Michael Cole and JBL, and I would have Mauro Ranallo and Jerry Lawler.
I would have Mauro and Corey Graves, but I like how Graves.
Okay, I would do that, but I would move Lawler back to Raw then, and I would do Cole and Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting rid of Lawler. Lawler's found his stride again on the commentary booth as the heel commentator.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather hear him over JBL. If you're going to put Corey Graves on SmackDown, I would most certainly move Lawler to Raw.
My gut feeling is SmackDown is going to be new era. That's Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves right there. Though Corey and Tom are so good together on NXT. I think that's been the best booth.
Yeah, they're entertaining. They melt together very well. The two of them play off each other, and have a certain chemistry that's very hard to adapt for a duo that's been together for such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Matt Bloom and Alex Riley were great on there. I liked
Bloom too. I was kind of bummed when they took him out of the booth. I thought he was really good and a very underrated commentator.
They almost had to after the DeMott situation because Bloom had a lot more responsibility.
Absolutely, I get that. But I mean, I really enjoyed him on on the commentary team.
My gut feeling is it's going to be Morrow and Corey because that's the new, fresh.
Well, what do you do? What do you do with Lawler then?
See if I don't know if does he want to continue. I don't know. Who knows how close he is to retiring. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he may want to scale back. I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, then Saxton has come in his own too, but I mean, he doesn't blow me away as an announcer.
Dude, I'm not a fan of the 3-man booth.
No, I never have.
And I feel like Saxton doesn't really add to anything on either show.
Yeah.
So I would much rather have both Raw and SmackDown go back to the 2-man booth. And unfortunately, that would mean Saxton's out of a position.
I just have this gut feeling that it's going to be Morrow and Corey. It just fits. All right,
I don't know if I want Corey out of NXT, so we're gonna see where that goes.
Yeah, but the dude deserves a big raise and a big bump into that main event spot.
Well, everybody needs to keep in mind they are not going to punish NXT.
No.
Just to make Raw and SmackDown better. So Triple H is not going to let them gut his talent down there.
And you could
without them replenishing things down there.
And you could put Saxton with Phillips even in NXT if we put
that. I'd be okay with that.
If we put Graves on SmackDown, we could put Saxton in with Phillips, and I don't think going to NXT is really a demotion, so to speak. With how hot that brand is, so and your pay is going to stay the same, I'd assume. So, all right, Matt, we're gonna. We might do something maybe next week a lot more expansive.
Yeah, because by next week we're going to know a lot more than we know now.
Well, I'm talking about draft. I'm talking about drafting. I think we might do a little mock draft next week or something. But I wanted to get your opinion on the first 6 or the first 3 rounds of the draft. Who are your top 3 stars on Raw? Who are your top 3 stars on SmackDown?
Raw, I'm going Cena, Orton, and AJ Styles. SmackDown, I'm going Reigns, Rollins, and Dean Ambrose.
I had something written down now, but I've changed my mind completely. Originally, I'll tell you what I had originally. Originally, I had Reigns, AJ, and Rollins on Raw, Cena, Orton, and Ambrose on SmackDown. But as more came out today, especially with SmackDown getting that newer feeling, I think SmackDown's top guys are going to be Rollins, Ambrose, and AJ, possibly.
Which I'd be okay. Dude, wherever AJ is going to get the biggest push ability, I'm totally cool with.
I think AJ is your first world champion.
That would make me so happy. You have no idea.
That was I said Cena, Orton, and Ambrose on SmackDown because I thought Raw still is the bigger show, and the rising talent in AJ and Rollins with Reigns, it makes sense on Raw. But I think if we're playing SmackDown is not second fiddle, I think we could have AJ, Rollins, and Ambrose be those top 3 guys on SmackDown. While you have Cena, Orton, and Roman Reigns clashing on Raw.
JB, you've convinced me. I want to change my picks. I want to go Cena, Orton, Dean Ambrose on Raw, and I want to go Reigns, Rollins, and AJ on SmackDown.
I think if you want to do this next week, Matt, let's go into the same war room. We'll actually we're gonna actually
we'll have to do this off the air.
Yeah, we'll do it off the air. We'll go back and forth on Twitter. We will draft Raw. We will draft maybe 15 rounds. We'll go deep into the mid card because it's lost in the mid card.
Well, here's the problem: who's Raw and who's SmackDown?
No, we're collaborating.
Oh, I think it'd be more fun if each of us were one brand and we're drafting against each other.
Okay. All right. We'll flip a coin.
We'll figure it all out. I'm just saying we can have a lot of fun with that.
All right, we'll flip a coin, and we'll determine who Raw and SmackDown are, unless you have a preference.
I don't care. I just think we could have. I think we could have a lot of fun with this. I think it could be really entertaining.
All right, I got flip a coin on Google. All right, here we go. If it's heads, I get Raw. If it's tails, I get SmackDown.
Fair enough.
I'm clicking flip it. I have Raw.
Okay, cool. I'm okay with that.
Okay. If it is heads, I have the first pick. If it is tails, you have the second pick. That was like the old double-headed coin there. Wait a minute.
Screw job.
Heads, I get the first pick. Tails, you get the first pick. All right, here we go. And Google's flipping. It is tails.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Matt is on SmackDown.
Yes.
With the first pick of the draft.
I'm digging it.
I am on Raw with the second pick of the draft. I think we will. 15 rounds sound good?
15 rounds sound great. I'm excited about this.
All right. I'm going to just type in a quick note for episode 76 next week. Yeah, 76. 76 episodes already, huh?
We are truly lost. That? We are truly lost in the mid-card.
Matt, SmackDown. Number 1. JB, Raw. Number 2. That way I don't forget about it.
JB doing his best Mike Johnson, typing while he talks.
Yeah. Well, what's that Mike Johnson line? Oh, that'll be interesting. The old Mike Johnson not paying attention line that Dave Scheer called him out on today. That was kind of funny. Yeah, shout out to PW Insider. Some great elite audio. 2 hours of the No Stinking Name show with Dave Scheer and Mike Johnson talking about the brand split along with a lot of other stuff. And then Mike Johnson also has 15 minutes of his own talk on the brand split as well. So some good stuff on PW Insider Elite for the big news.
It couldn't be any bigger, man. This is big shit.
How long? We're still not done with burning questions, by the way. How long would you wait for a redraft? I say 2 years.
I would prefer them to wait longer, but I think it'll be a yearly thing. I think they'll do it yearly. I think it'll be right after WrestleMania. And I think
the reset button.
Yeah, I think they'll hit the reset button. They'll do it then every year. And I don't think it's as extreme as I'm drafting this guy away from you, as it would be more what they were doing in the later years. It would be like a Raw versus SmackDown match, and the winner got a randomized draft pick for their team, and they would go back and forth like that. I don't want them to completely reset the rosters every year. That would be annoying as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But shaking things up a little bit, getting 5 people to go one and 5 people go to the other, just freshening things up a little bit. That's I'm totally cool with that.
I think it'd be interesting if we're doing it yearly. I personally say 2 years, but I say if we do it yearly, I personally think it'd be great to have like a lottery, like a military draft. Your name gets pulled up as one of the 10. You're going to be 5 out of the 10 guys that get their name pulled up could possibly, or 5. There's going to be 10 guys drawn from your brand, and 5 of those guys are leaving. I think that'd be kind of a cool way to do it. One last question on burning questions, Matt. How fun will our show be on July 20th?
I think it'll be great. Like I said, I'm hearing the drafts the week before. So I honestly think the loss in the mid-card the week before that might even be really fun, talking about, the way the roster's shaped up. But I mean, the first Raw and SmackDown of the draft era, we're going to have a lot to talk about. And I think this could not have been better for us at Lost in the Mid-Card, because we now get to cover Raw, SmackDown, and NXT as they aired instead of covering a Thursday night SmackDown from like almost a week ago that no one cares about. I think this is going to be 100 times better for our show. If I'm being a little bit, greedy and jealous here, I think this is great for our show as a whole, in the way we're going to be covering wrestling. So,
how many months before Impact moves off of Tuesday now?
oh man, well,
it'd be great if they, it'd be great.
The
would, hold on. It'd be great if they moved back to Wednesdays so that we could live make fun of it while we're recording.
Here's the thing. We're going to find out how much Pop truly cares about Impact, when we determine how long it takes for them to move them off of Tuesday nights.
They just had their highest audience.
I know. It is a nut shot of epic proportions. I'm sure when Dixie Carter got the call in India today that SmackDown was moving to Tuesday nights and it was going to be live, I'm sure she cried in her sarsaparilla for hours. But it is what it is, and I think in order to save your own company, you have no other choice but to move off Tuesday. I mean, the only good thing they've got going for them is they are 9 to 11, so they would have 1 hour unopposed. So not the most terrible thing. They might be able to survive on Tuesday nights if they keep the 9 to 11 time slot.
Mm-hmm. Breaking news on this whole situation in Canada.
Right.
Canada gets the SmackDown a day early, and
not anymore. They don't.
Were they going to get it a day late? No, they're going to actually get it live as well. SmackDown is going to go live Tuesdays on Sportsnet Toronto, beginning on July 19th as well. So
I hear it's going to be live in the UK as well.
Oh, cool!
Like they're treating it like Raw, dude. Like this is big. This is a big deal. This is good.
It is. It's going to be an exciting, exciting 8 weeks are ahead of us here for damn sure. Back to some more headlines as we finally got. I think we got everything we wanted out of that brand split talk. We covered about everything, didn't we, Matt?
I don't know. I could talk about it all night if you wanted to. So
I know, exciting stuff. But not so surprising news. Adam Rose has been released by the WWE. This came down on Monday. That they wished the future endeavor to Adam Rose. Of course, not a surprise after his 60-day suspension and then his arrest as well. Adam Rose started in Florida Championship Wrestling in 2010 under the ring name Leo Kruger. He continued into NXT as Leo Kruger, but then was rebranded as Adam Rose and really took off at NXT, had a lot of support as the Adam Rose character. But apparently Vince McMahon didn't really care about it because he debuted on Raw and never really got much of a push. It was more of a joke, never really got anywhere. So then he kind of turned heel, and that really didn't go anywhere either. Then he was in the Social Outcasts, finally a group, though they lose more than they win. They are they still get a win every once in a while, though, at least a little more serious of a group than, say, a three-man band. But unfortunately, starting in April, everything unraveled for Adam Rose. We've talked about Adam Rose at length, Matt, but it's a shame, but hopefully he can get his life straightened out.
Dude, if the man asked for his release, obviously he's taking steps to, correct his life and what he needs to do. All the respect in the world to him. He probably knew the writing was on the wall anyway. I think WWE probably respected him more for requesting it and saying, hey, dude, I got to get my life back on track. Maybe someday I can come back, but right now my life's more important. And I bet WWE as a company probably respect him more for doing that than anything else. So, nothing but the best for that dude. I hope everything works out for him and his family, and hopefully we see him again in a few years.
And hopefully the WWE picks him back up, and then they do what they should have done after that E60, And they could have gone so many places with that after that E60. Instead, they went with makeout sessions with Rosa Mendez, which, hey, for Adam Rose, hey, good for him. But another not so surprising release from the company, as Brandy Rhodes, aka Eden, has asked for her release from the company just on just a week or so after Cody Rhodes announced that he had wanted his WWE release, and so Brandy Rhodes wrote, "What I've been teasing for weeks. I've been offered a new opportunity outside the WWE. So I've decided to part with the WWE after tonight." And then also she continued on with a blog on her website tonight, just was posted. "So honestly, I've been leaving for a couple months now. The teasing tweets about the LA and New York things, those were all very real. I've wanted to go for a while, and when I make up my mind, it's difficult to talk me out of it. What I wanted to do was finish out my contract. It was set to end in 2 months. When my husband decided to go, it seemed silly to stay somewhere for 2 months when I was already planning on leaving. So I asked the WWE if we could push up the contract end date, and they obliged. We parted amicably at the end of the contract. I have come full circle. The flexibility of my new gig is pretty nice. I can essentially start whenever I wanted, and I'll begin in July. Right now, I'm just going to be enjoying life with my family as we head on to the next stage. But still working. In entertainment, we are always working, and this is actually work right now. I am able to earn a profit as a blogger, which I wasn't able to do before the WWE. This contract can be very restricting and limiting. I hate when a good deal floats by just because someone tells me I can't do something. There's money on the table and fun to be had, and I just can't, just because. That just gets my goat. I can't be limited. I followed all the rules growing up. Now in my 30s, I can't be told what to do anymore. I'm too creative and awesomely weird to hold that shit in. So anyways, I'm working the blog, traveling for meetings. I can do multiple gigs now. So I'm bloodthirsty and want to do everything. I'm going hard in the paint, as they say, busting my tail. So good for Brandy. Matt, she's probably going to be so much happier.
Yeah, I mean, you felt the writing was on the wall when Cody left. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, there's no way she's going to stick around, because if she does, it's going to be uncomfortable. She's not going to want to be there. They're going to make her life hell. You know, the writing was on the wall when Punk left and AJ left too. You know, it just took a lot. It took a lot longer. You know, yeah. But I mean, you know, this was bound to happen. And man, I hope Cody ends up someplace great. I hope he doesn't regret leaving the week that he did, you know, and the brand split being announced now, when honestly he would have probably had a chance to be used pretty well in a brand split environment. I really hope he's not regretting that decision now. And yeah, I hope the best for both of those guys, you know.
After what he said about how he would get ignored and played off, I don't think he's regretting it at all. Raw audience went up this week. A lot of interesting things happened at Extreme Rules, such as Seth Rollins returning to pedigree Roman Reigns. So that sparked a little interest. 3.3 million viewers for Raw, up about 750,000 from the week before. And Matt, I'm very curious to see what next week's Raw's ratings are going to be.
I don't really think you're going to see much of a bump next week. We'll see
a bump. I think we'll see a bump. I think we'll get like 3.5 million. I think we'll see a healthy bump.
Dude, I think you're asking for a lot on Memorial Day, dude.
Oh, that's right. It's Memorial Day. Oh, but John Cena's back.
I know, but I mean, is John Cena greater than Memorial Day? Memorial Day has historically always been a very down week for WWE ratings. Will John Cena be able to kick out at 2 against Memorial Day?
What's weird about Memorial Day?
That's what we're going to have to find out.
A lot of people go back to work on Tuesday, though, so a lot of people are home on Monday nights.
Yeah,
so
but
kind of weird.
Historically, the Memorial Day Raws are always very low-rated shows.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's kind of weird.
People out doing shit.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, Impact Wrestling's first run hits an all-time high with 359,000 viewers, up from 311,000 last week. It was a better show.
Honestly, it's the first episode of Impact in like a month that I actually skimmed through on DVR, and it was much better than some of the stuff they've been doing lately. There's still way too much Maria on the show, but I don't think there was any decay at all, unless I skipped completely over them and missed them. And no decay on Impact is a good thing.
Well, you aren't going to get that much Maria pretty soon. Whenever they catch up to her broken hand.
Thank God. And honestly, I think the product will be better for it.
Super
less Maria and get rid of the decay, and maybe I'll watch your product on a weekly basis again.
Super Juniors continue. Day 4 and 5 have hit the books. From day 4, Volador defeated Tiger Mask 4. Jushin Thunder Liger defeated Chase Owens. Ricochet defeated Bobby Fish. And Beretta defeated Will Ospreay. And that puts a 3-way tie at the top of Block B with Liger, Ricochet, and Volador. And
but didn't they do that storyline takeout for Liger? I thought Chase Owens hit him with like a cradle pile driver after the match, and they like stretched him out.
Oh, did they? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I think that was almost like a storyline write-off for Liger. So I think it's just going to be the other two guys on the top of that bracket. I could be wrong, but that it seemed like a storyline write-off for Liger to me.
Didn't Trevor say last week he thinks Volador could be the one to win that block?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he could be right.
And Ricochet's up there too,
I can't put it past Ricochet either.
And then today, day 5 wrapped up in Block A. Matt Sydal defeated Gato. Kyle O'Reilly defeated Bushi. Kushida defeated David Finlay, and Taguchi defeated Rocky Romero. And Kyle O'Reilly and Taguchi both sit on the top at 6 points, while Romero and Sydal have 4. And we kind of figured maybe this would be O'Reilly at the top, and look where he's at now.
Yeah, it's good stuff, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that Kushida only had 2 points.
I'm really not, because he's not somebody they need to get over. He's already been established and made in the eyes of the New Japan fans.
So is that what this is kind of?
In my opinion, this is the tournament to help create the next rising stars of New Japan. So Kushida already won the thing last year, so he doesn't really need to advance far again.
Gotcha.
And I think that's what the Super Junior tournament's all about.
We head into NXT from this week, which aired just before we started recording, and we kick off the show with William Regal saying that Bayley and Asuka at TakeOver will not happen now due to the medical staff saying Bayley's not cleared to wrestle on June 8th. So tonight, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, and Carmella will have a triple threat match to determine who faces Asuka at TakeOver. And this NXT was a fun one tonight. I enjoyed it a lot. And we kick off with 2 guys in the cruiserweight tournament, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and they take on the brand new team of TM61, Shane Thorne and Nick Miller, formerly of the Mighty Don't Kneel. These guys have got a lot of promise as a tag team. I've seen a little bit of them as the Mighty Don't Kneel. I kind of went back and watched a few things once I heard these guys got signed, because these were the 2 standouts that were signed to the Performance Center from what I've heard people talk about. So that's what made me look them up. And then, of course, the Facebook interview, I thought, especially Shane Thorne, I thought was very enjoyable. So then TM61 takes on Ciampa and Gargano in what I thought was a pretty damn good tag match, Matt.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I question. You're pushing TM61, the Mighty Don't Kneel, whatever you want to call them, but you bring them in their opening match to lose to Gargano and Ciampa. I didn't understand it. I didn't really get. That would not have been my debut for these guys, but whatever.
Well, it wasn't a one-sided affair, and it was a lengthy.
It was a great match. But if I'm bringing in a new team that I'm introducing them on Facebook. And I'm doing a little interview segment before I start off. I'm bringing them in with a win. I'm not bringing them in with a loss. But
I look at it this way, maybe where they gain the favor of the audience by having to dig out of that hole that they start in. maybe, or something like that. A lot of people that debut win all the time. That happens all the damn time. This is something different. Have them have to work their way back in. And at the end, Gargano and Ciampa kind of gave a little nod of respect to TM61. So this may not be the last time we see these guys compete. And I'll go and hope not. This was a great tag match. What were your thoughts on TM61 since you hadn't seen them before?
I thought they were good. I enjoyed the match. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I just didn't understand why you hype these guys and you bring them in and they lose their first match. I didn't understand it. But whatever.
Samoa Joe video package, pretty cool one. Kind of setting you up for the TakeOver main event inside a steel cage. Kathy Kelly interviews Bayley, who is disappointed about not being cleared to wrestle, which means they're probably saving Asuka and her for Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I think we're getting Asuka Bayley too in Brooklyn, and I honestly think they did not want to do that in June. I think they felt that was a match, better fit for
on a big stage,
and I think that's why they waited, and they needed a temporary title defense match beforehand, and that's why Nia Jax is there. And I think Asuka's gonna kick her skull in, and I think we'll get the Asuka Bayley rematch in Brooklyn.
During the interview, then the three women that are in the main event for tonight stop by to jaw at each other, and then we get ourselves a video package of Andrade Cien Almas, which is I thought this was a really cool little vignette for this guy. We saw him in a dark match at TakeOver Dallas, and also I thought the package was cool. It was like he was kind of watching old footage, all old Lucha footage, and he takes off the mask, and I thought it was really well done.
No, the video package was great. Honestly, I was hoping for a video package for Bobby Roode tonight, but we didn't get that, and I think maybe we're not getting the video package for Bobby Roode because of the brand split.
With the next pick in the 2016 WWE Draft, SmackDown selects Bobby Roode.
I don't know.
Austin Aries comes to the ring, cuts a promo talking about that he's created a huge buzz and elevated the product, but someone else came along and grabbed the attention from him, and that someone else was Nakamura, who comes out and this will be his first in-ring kind of promo for Nakamura, right?
Yes, this is the first time he cut an in-ring promo in NXT.
And it was great.
Of course it was great, because he's the man.
Nakamura is so good.
But dude, Nakamura has more charisma in his pinky than the Drifter has in his entire body.
Yeah, trust me, Nakamura he'll probably be in the power rankings next month.
You damn right he better be on the fucking power rankings next month. I'm gonna Kinshasa your damn face in.
We'll see. Yeah, they cut a good promo. Nakamura just being funny as hell. Regal comes out and says, I like the team, but I got so much more I see out of this. And at TakeOver, Austin Aries will take on Shinsuke Nakamura. Not the way I thought it was going to play out. I figured Austin Aries was going to attack Nakamura. That is probably coming later. But I thought that was what was going to set up the match. But instead, it's more of a friendly setup for now. But I don't think it's going to be so friendly coming up on TakeOver. They interviewed Jordan Gable as well as they get ready to take on the Revival at TakeOver. The next match, we get Johnny Vandal against Jose. I still love that song. The Full Sail crowd loves No Way Jose. Matt, are you coming around on him a little more?
I don't know if the crowd loves No Way Jose or if they just love the music.
Antics? No,
and the dancing of it. I'm not sure.
They're into the match too, but I mean, here's the thing: I want to see more wrestling out of No Way Jose before I can fully embrace.
I'm not really sold on the work I've seen him so far do. But I am happy he's not using to punch someone in the face for a finisher anymore. So
it's antic. It's full of antics right now, and not much wrestling part of it, but that's okay. I think at this point he's taken on jobbers, and this is to establish him. And hopefully, once it's time to get a serious match, he can do some antics, but then put on a match, because I think the crowd loves him. He's like Kofi. He's like Kofi Kingston.
I saw a lot more in Kofi when he debuted, though, than I'm seeing in No Way Jose.
Yes, athletically and all that, yes, because we haven't seen anything from Jose because his matches are antic-ridden still.
Yeah.
They're jobber matches with antics, dancing around and all that fun stuff. And so he's getting over with he's getting introduced, and then we'll see where he goes from there once it's time to have a serious match. But No Way Jose wins with his Nomo fastball punch, then sets up for the little slam that Uranagi, I think is what it's called. They don't have a name, an official title for his finisher quite yet, though. We also take a look at Finn Balor in another good package as they set up that title match. Kathy Kelly asks Asuka who she prefers for the title match, and she says it does not matter who wins. She will defeat them. No, she will kill them. I added that last part in.
I know. That's why I thought it was funny.
Austin Aries will take on the Drifter next week on NXT. It was announced. Carmella is walking towards Gorilla and gives Bayley a big hug before she makes her entrance. We get ourselves the third match of the night, the main event. Number one contender match for the women's NXT Championship, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax. Matt, for three girls that have never really been on the major spotlight of NXT in the title picture, I thought these girls put on a hell of a triple threat match tonight.
Absolutely. I've been saying for months now that the overall women's division in NXT is not in as bad of shape as people wish to believe it was. So, yeah, I love it. I thought it was great. No problem whatsoever. I thought it was a great triple threat main event. The result to me was obviously expected. I was in no way surprised by who won.
No.
So yeah, it's good. The women's division's in good hands down there. Triple H knows how to treat a women's division with respect, and I just wish his father-in-law did the same thing.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that once you get past those five, I mean, what if one or two go up to the main roster and those five become three? That means who are you going to find that takes those places right now? We don't know yet. We got Tessa Blanchard, we got Rachel Ellering, we got Peyton Royce, we got Billie Kay, Liv Morgan.
There's plenty of girls down there I think are ready to step up.
Yeah, so hopefully.
And I think, honest to God, I think the only girl that comes up after Brooklyn's Bayley. I think every other girl stays down there.
Yeah.
So losing one girl is not going to be the end of the world. And I think between now and August, they have plenty of time to elevate a couple more girls to the status that, it's going to be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
The draft is not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, like I said, I've warmed up to it. This week in pro wrestling, this week in 1962, Brian Pillman was born. Also, happy birthday to Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson. The American Dragon was born on this week in 1981. Also, Bray Wyatt was born in 1987. This week in 2011, it was announced that Sinclair Broadcasting had purchased Ring of Honor, and that is who continues to run Ring of Honor. And I would say Ring of Honor's never been bigger, right, Matt?
A lot of diehards feared the worst for the company when Sinclair came in and bought them out. And I know,
did they?
Absolutely. And I know I know it was a rough start with the Sinclair transition, but honestly, Sinclair is the best thing that ever happened to Ring of Honor. And every year the company gets bigger. Sinclair is very smart. They know what they're doing. They know how to progress the company and move it forward. And I see nothing but great things in Ring of Honor's future.
They brought me on board about a little over a year ago. So, and I've been hooked ever since. This week in 1992, Steve Austin defeats Barry Windham for the WCW television title in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a secondary title I would love to see back. If we have a deep brand split, Matt, if we got US and Cruiserweight and SmackDown, I'd love to see the television title on Raw to go with the IC belt.
Yeah, I don't easy on the championships, but WWE's never had it, to my knowledge anyway. WWE's never had a television title. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd like it too. Of course, very unfortunate news this week in 1999. This is when Owen Hart died of cardiac arrest after falling from the ceiling at Kemper Arena in Kansas City. The show continued. Jim Ross informed the home viewers later in the program that Owen had passed away, but the fans in the building were not told. And, of course, the decision to continue to run the show has been debated for ever since that happened. Would you have stopped the show, Matt?
Yes. I would have refunded everybody their pay-per-view money, and the show would have been canceled.
Continues to be the only pay-per-view that has never been released on home video. Is it on the network?
I'm pretty sure that it is edited. All the Owen Hart stuff's not there. But I'm telling you what, dude, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah,
it was one of the worst nights of my life. As a professional wrestling fan, I was just absolutely devastated.
I don't know if I watched the pay-per-view, but I know I was at a buddy's house watching Raw the next night, and yeah,
I was at my friend's house across the street from where I grew up, and we were watching. It was me, him, and his parents, and we were watching the pay-per-view live at his house, and it was an awful experience. I didn't even want to go to school the next day, dude. I was devastated. I woke up the next morning, I come downstairs, and my mom, she was like, it was in the paper, it was that big of a deal. So, I just went to bed that night. I didn't say anything to the parents, but they saw it in the paper that morning, and I lost it. It was such a brutal thing. When you watch wrestling for as long as I did, I'd say I've probably been a wrestling fan for almost 30 years at this point. And you kind of feel like you grow up with these guys. Yeah. And I watched the guy grow up. I watched him every Saturday morning. I watched him on Mondays when, I started watching the Raw and stuff like that. And to just see him go away like that. I don't think I was hit in the gut as hard. Owen, the only wrestler since Owen that probably hurt as bad as him was probably the Ultimate Warrior. And I'd have to say that probably mainly due to the fact that I was in the same building with that man for 3 nights in a row. And the next night he was gone. And that hit me really hard. I mean, Eddie was probably third, but I as much as Eddie devastated me, it wasn't on the levels of what Owen Hart and the Ultimate Warrior did. And it's just, growing up with these guys, you look up to them. They're like real life superheroes, man. Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to lose some of those ones that you grew up with. And I definitely grew up with Warrior and Owen and stuff like that. And I think when Hogan goes, that's going to be a really rough time for me and a lot of other wrestling fans, regardless of how he's viewed right now. I think that's going to be a really hard pill to swallow when we get to that point.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same way. I think the one that's hit me the most in late would have been Dusty Rhodes. Obviously, Owen was huge, but but obviously I wasn't deep into the wrestling community like I am now. I grew up with NWA, so Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair were the two guys for me, like Hogan and Warrior were for you. Speaking of Ric Flair, this week in 1976, Ric Flair defeated Wahoo McDaniel for the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title in Charlotte, North Carolina. If Flair would have lost the match, he would have had to have his head shaved. Could you imagine a bald Ric Flair, Matt?
Oh, he almost got one in WCW, so...
1991, this week, the Diamond Stud, Scott Hall, made his debut on WCW television. This week in 2001, Triple H underwent surgery with Dr. James Andrews to repair his torn quadriceps that was injured in a tag match with Steve Austin against Benoit and Jericho 3 days prior. Of course, his return was what some regard as the biggest pop anybody's heard in the WWE. When his return after 10 months being away, that was a great moment. Way back in the time machine, this week in 1853, William Muldoon, regarded as the first major American star in professional wrestling, was born in Belfast, New York. This week in 1984, in his first NWA World Championship defense after regaining the belt from Kerry Von Erich, Ric Flair fought Harley Race to a draw in Japan in a best-of-3 falls match where they went to a double countout on the third and deciding fall. This week in 1997, Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels defeated Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith to win the WWF World Tag Team titles in Evansville, Indiana. This was a situation where, of course, the partners didn't get along, but then they got the belts. But, of course, they would vacate those belts soon afterwards. And finally, this week, last year, 2015, WWE ran their final event at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island, as the venue is being ripped apart and renovated for a smaller configuration. Let's go to a little Camp WWE for this week, Matt. And what were your thoughts on this week's Camp WWE with Triple H taking out Stephanie and Vince on dates and Mark Henry's food baby?
I hate to be the one to drop the bombshell. I did not catch Camp WWE this week.
Oh, okay.
I was going to watch it after Raw, and I was so annoyed with WWE at that point that I wanted nothing to do with anything WWE related for the rest of the night, and I didn't watch it.
Well, that's cool. We'll talk about it next week. It was pretty damn funny, I'll have to say.
Okay.
Let's close the show this week with Raw, episode 1200. And we are live from Baltimore, Maryland, and Matt is not in attendance because of what happened at Extreme Rules.
That's right. You could have had my money, Vince. It's on you, bitch.
Seth Rollins comes out to a huge ovation to kick off Monday Night Raw. And there was a sign in the crowd that said, "Finally, Rollins is back," and they spelled his name wrong. Way to go there, jobber.
Yeah. I had a comment on that on Monday, but I'll keep that to myself.
Long ovation for Rollins. He says he's happy to be back after being gone for 200 days. And the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Rollins," after he mentioned that he pedigreed Reigns at the end of Extreme Rules. And he asked if the crowd missed him. They started a yes chant, and that's when we realized that Seth Rollins is going back to the old Seth Rollins. He says, "Well, you were the people that booed him when he ended the Shield, called him the weakest champion of all time, begging for somebody to beat him," and on and on. So basically, he said in a great line, his knee buckled after carrying the weight of the company on his back for so long. I thought that was pretty good. He goes, he got a lot of tweets and fan mail, but he put it all in a garbage can. He put all that fan mail in a garbage can and lit it on fire. He didn't even read a letter. He goes, "I didn't need any of you, and I never did." And then Roman Reigns comes out for a little bit of a stare down. You figured he would, Matt. You figured he would. Taz mentioned this too. You figured he'd be pissed off and just charge Rollins and go to beat the shit out of him, right?
Not Captain Smug.
So they come and they stare each other down, and Rollins leaves the ring because he don't want none. Shane McMahon comes out and says the main event for Money in the Bank for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship will be Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns. And so obviously they're still trying to book Reigns as a face and Rollins as a heel.
Vomit.
Matt, what'd you think about that?
Vomit.
It
was the worst creative choice they could have made to start off the show, and it put me in a bad mood for the rest of their shitty creative to go throughout the rest of the show. Good job, WWE.
What if
One thing was for sure. One thing was for sure. They did not make me regret not giving them any money to go down to Baltimore and watch this garbage live.
Will you feel better in the end if he turns face when Triple H comes back?
I don't think he will. I don't even know if they'll be on the same brands with Triple H.
Yeah. We have 5, count them, 5 Money in the Bank qualifying matches tonight. First one was a great one. Sami Zayn and Sheamus. A fresh matchup, and Sheamus looked real good here too.
You mean Rocksteady?
Rocksteady. And I think after post-League of Nations, I think building Sheamus back up as a heel probably is the best for business right now. And I think in the end, I think he will...
Sheamus is one of those guys that are really going to benefit from this brand split.
Yeah, I think he's a good... I mean, they had a good match here. You enjoyed it, right?
No, it was fine. It was all right. We
talked on Twitter about it.
Yeah, it was all right. It was a good match. Didn't blow me away or anything, but I thought the match was good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was good. Zayn hits a Helluva Kick after 10 minutes, takes the win. So Sami Zayn is in Money in the Bank, and your winner from last year does not even qualify. They played that off at the end of the match with Sheamus being very upset. Apollo Crews is interviewed by Renee Young, and he said this is the biggest match of his life and didn't really get much else in before Sheamus attacks him. So now, much like Sheamus was going after the small guys of the WWE, now Sheamus looks like he's targeting the new era guys. So that probably put him on SmackDown, I'm guessing. I think a Crews-Sheamus feud would be fun. I mean, finally it's something for Crews to do, right?
I definitely think that's what the whole direction was. That the storyline was Crews would have beat Jericho had he not been attacked by Sheamus in the back, and that's another creative thing I had an issue with. And I don't know if it was Cruz's fault or if it was WWE's fault, but the lack of selling from Apollo, in his entrance against Jericho after the beatdown was just insultingly bad,
and the lack of anger too.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like, as I said, I don't know if that was a Cruz thing or a WWE thing, but it wasn't good.
New Day makes their entrance. They have a happy birthday cake in the middle of the ring, and they are wishing the happy birthday of Raw for 1,200 episodes. And Big E says, well, the WWE is not safe. The ring is not safe for a cake. So he takes the cake out the ringside. He teases throwing it in a fan's face, teases throwing it on JBL and Saxton. But as he's setting it down safely, the Social Outcasts come in from behind to attack the New Day. That sets up a very quick 6-man tag match with the New Day, of course, destroying the Social Outcasts as they should, and Heath Slater eating some cake too.
I really wanted to see Michael Cole eat the cake.
Oh, it would have been great.
That was my number one choice. I wanted to see Michael Cole get the cake.
JBL's calling Heath Slater the Red Dragon. That's Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Miz makes his entrance with the sexy Maurice. And Miz has the Intercontinental title, but he also is in a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. This was probably the best, second best of the qualifying matches of the night, Cesaro and The Miz. Of course, these guys are very familiar with each other over the past couple of months and so. But Cesaro, or Miz, working on that hurt shoulder from Cesaro. They played that up. Of course, he's still using that athletic tape on the shoulder. He had a torn rotator cuff, I do believe, is what kept him out of action. So some great psychology there by The Miz, working on that shoulder for most of the match, and to the point where Cesaro couldn't even get the swing going. But in the end, Miz went for a double axe handle off the top, Cesaro with an uppercut, and then the neutralizer for the win after a great 12-minute match. So Cesaro is now penciled in for the Money in the Bank match. We have 2 out of the 7 slots filled up. Seth Rollins interviewed by Renee Young and says it's fitting environment to have him to win the WWE title there. He bragged about being good and then noticed somebody off the side of the screen. It was Stephanie McMahon. He wanted to give her a hug, but she said, hold on, playa. This is a business relationship now. We're just going to shake some hands. So again, Stephanie acting like the good saint for now, but we all know that ain't gonna last, Matt.
Well, if they split brands, if Stephanie runs one and Shane runs the other, maybe it will last.
I don't want that to happen.
I'm just saying, pal, it might be how it happens. Damn it.
They did. I forgot to mention this when we talked about the brand split in the open. But
are we talking about the little video?
Yeah, the video. They did tease somebody else taking power. So then after that was Chris Jericho, who was great selling. He had bandages all over his body from the thumbtacks he landed on in Extreme Rules, and then somebody with the great tweet of sending Jericho 100 thumbtack emojis, and Jericho retweeting it saying "smart ass." I thought that was funny as hell.
Have you seen the hashtag Jericho meme that's blowing up Twitter right now?
I have not.
Yeah, do a search for a hashtag Jericho meme, or even just check out Chris Jericho's Twitter page, because he's retweeting a bunch of them. I think this is probably the biggest WWE meme since
oh yes, I have seen a couple.
The RKO out of nowhere memes, because honest to God, dude, there's some really funny ones, and Jericho's like retweeting some of the better ones.
The Walking Dead one's pretty good.
Yeah, there's some really funny ones on his timeline. I'd highly recommend to go check it out.
Oh my God, there are some funny ones.
Yeah,
God,
you should take a group of those and throw them up on the Facebook page.
Oh, the one of him getting shot out of a tank.
Yeah.
Him crowd surfing. I don't know who that is. Oh, it's Springsteen.
Yeah.
The one I saw early today was him getting run into the goalie. That's good. Him riding on the basket of ET.
He just retweeted one with him taking a bump into a bunch of mini Jerichos instead of the tacks.
him getting sucked into the Sharknado. Him getting knocked out by Muhammad Ali. Oh, here's the one I saw earlier was him going down a water slide. Oh, these are great.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest WWE like meme since the RKO out of nowhere.
Was this his instant reaction after hitting the thumbtacks? Is that what that was?
Yep.
Oh God, the Lion King holding him up like the Boodio. Oh, there you go, Leonidas kicking him in 300, kicking him down the shaft. Him getting pulled in a little red wagon. Oh my God, these are great. Oh, here it is. Yeah, the water slide. That was the first one I saw.
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna take some of these clips, guys, and we're gonna put them on our Facebook page, and so you guys can go check them out and laugh along with us.
Oh, I just saw it's like Gulliver's Travels. There's another one, him riding a horse. Yeah, we'll have to make an album with those for sure. God, those are good. Speaking of Jericho, that we segue to that segment. Jericho, and of course, we talked about Cruz not selling the beating of Sheamus. Again, that was weird. Of course, if you listen to Taz's show, he harps on a lot of the selling problems that the people don't do. Jericho, though, after 8 minutes, does hit a code breaker on Cruz. It was a pretty decent competitive match back and forth. I thought it was decent for the time given. And Sheamus watching the match backstage, and Renee asks for his reaction. He just laughs and walks off. So obviously they're setting up Sheamus and Apollo Crews. That'll probably be your pre-show stopper at Money in the Bank. What are you thinking of the Darren Young Bob Backlund thing? Funny?
I think it's stupid.
Dumb? Pointless?
Good? I'm just going to go with stupid.
We'll see where it goes. I heard people, next up was Baron Corbin getting interviewed by JoJo, who's probably going to get a nice raise now that Eden left. I heard a lot of people not enjoying the Baron Corbin interview, saying he sounded robotic. I thought he was perfectly fine on this promo. Matt, what's your opinion on Baron Corbin's promo here with Dolph Ziggler?
I've never taken Baron Corbin for being a good promo, so whatever.
It's solid. It's not CM Punk, but it's not terrible. Or do you think it's terrible?
It's whatever. I don't have strong feelings on Baron Corbin's promo work one way or another.
Ziggler's going to take on Ambrose for a Money in the Bank qualifying match, but Corbin is challenged by Ziggler to a technical wrestling match next week on Raw. So this feud still ain't over yet. Big Cass enters to a big ovation, but he points at the entrance ramp, and look who's back, baby. Enzo Amore. Welcome back, Enzo. Good to see you healthy enough to be back in that ring, running all around like a crazed maniac. He got so excited he dropped the microphone before he ran out on stage. That was great. Enzo cutting a good promo as always, saying he's got the gift of gab, the gift of jab. If he had a dime for every time he got knocked down and didn't get back up, he'd have 0 dimes. He talked about Bub and Devin Dudd, and basically said, well, they're gonna whoop some ass. And then Cass does this little soft as the Dudleys come out. It is Bubba Ray Dudley, Big Cass. Only a little 3-minute match, and boy, I think they're strapping the rocket on Big Cass, aren't they, Matt?
Yeah, I just hope they don't leave Enzo behind.
Somebody brought that up today. Somebody was worried that the rocket they strapped on Big Cass and they might split them up, and if that happens, that's not good because Cass I don't think is ready. As good as he's done, I don't think he's quite ready yet to be that single star. And 2, I mean, this is a hot tag team. The kids love them, So to break them up with a brand split would be absolutely stupid. Next, we get Charlotte with Ric Flair and Dana Brooke, and kind of a State of the Women's Championship kind of speech or whatever. But she said she wanted to thank one person, and that was herself. And she tried to talk to Rick, but the crowd was booing her, and she kind of got rattled there a little bit. But basically what happened is something we've been kind of expecting for some time now. Charlotte dumping Ric Flair and making him cry. I thought the line that she says, "Get out of my ring and watch her on TV like the last 30 years, like she did for the last 30 years," to him. I thought that was a great line. I thought Charlotte looked great here as a heel. Obviously, with the addition of Dana Brooke now, she doesn't need Flair anymore. What did you think of this segment here, Matt?
I thought it was awful.
Why is that?
Flair obviously needs to be away from Charlotte, and I don't have a problem with that. But I thought Rick's acting was horrendous, and I thought Charlotte's delivery was terrible. I like the result of the segment, but I don't think it was delivered very well from either person. Rick trying to force himself to cry just did not come off well. And I don't think Charlotte did very well at all either. She was she was more wailing than I was not impressed with the segment. Like I said, I liked the result because I feel like she needs to be without Rick and she needs to go off and do this thing on her own. She can have her Arn Anderson, Dana Brooke with her or whatever. But it was very much that they needed to go their separate ways. I think neither of them pulled it off very well on the mic. But whatever.
I thought Charlotte was okay here. Obviously, she tripped up at the beginning, kind of hard. She got a little distracted with the crowd, but I thought she did okay here. I didn't hate it as much. Next up, another Money in the Bank qualifying match. Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler. Another decent match here, but no surprise. Dean Ambrose gets the win here.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
And this is just as annoying as another qualifier later on in the night. There's a built-in feud. Corbin and Ziggler fighting again next week. Why the hell did they not have Corbin distract Ziggler for Ambrose to get this win?
I thought that's how that was going to go down.
So, I felt it made Ziggler look really weak going into his match with Corbin next week, where he just flat out clean loses to Dean Ambrose.
Well, he's gonna flat out lose clean to Corbin next week too.
I don't know about, dude. Honestly, I don't even know about that. And if he doesn't, how bad does Baron Corbin look? It was not good. It wasn't good. There were a lot of good matches on Raw, as far as the work.
Yeah.
But the creative behind almost everything on Raw Monday left me wanting to pull through a wall.
Yeah.
And this was no exception. And don't get me wrong, Ziggler loses to everybody. You know, I've come to accept that at this point. But at least protect the guy a little bit when you have him storyline going in against the dude next week, and you just had him you had to lose clean to the dude on Sunday, you know, because it was a no DQ match. So that low blow is clean as far as I'm concerned. So he lost clean to Corbin on Sunday. He lost clean to Dean on Monday, and now we expect him to go and be something to Corbin next week. And if he goes and beats Corbin clean next week, what does that say about Corbin?
More like, what's that say about booking? But
but I mean, in the eyes of the fan.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that say about creative? But at the same time, in the eyes of the fan, what does that say about Corbin?
Mm.
It's not good, dude.
Well, they should have been booking him like a monster, but they haven't been. I mean, they did it well with Rusev until he met John Cena. After Ziggler and Ambrose, they go backstage. There's Ric Flair. And hey, Titus O'Neil and Zack Ryder are on the show. How you doing? And Arn Anderson on television. You don't see him too often. He asked if Rick was okay, nod his head. Renee Young wanted to comment. Rick says no and left. So that was the way to get used to some more sympathy for Flair. They do a promo for the Shining Stars. They brag about how good they were in their debut. They're so good in their debut they didn't even have a match the next week in Raw. And nobody cares about these guys. I don't get what's going on here. But anyways, next part is what really is gonna piss off Matt, I'm assuming. AJ Styles comes to the ring. Cuts a promo, says it wasn't for the Usos and Gallows and Anderson, he would have had Roman Reigns beat. That prompts Gallows and Anderson to come out and mentioned a bunch of times how they've basically saved AJ's ass in Roppongi and also in many bar fights, and how they've took care of guys in the WWE for him too. And Styles says, "Oh, let's not let this professional discourse break up our friendship." But they do need to separate. Styles says he needs to be on his own. And Gallows says, well, he's mad that Styles would talk to them like that. Anderson said they're no longer brothers. They're not friends anymore. And they then just left. Nothing, no physicality or anything like that. But there you go. The club, so to speak, with AJ in it is no longer from what it seems like. And Matt, what are your reactions to that?
Absolutely, positively hated it.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point where when Vince Russo books a better creative idea for the end of Raw than WWE creative can, you know that there's a fucking problem.
What did Russo say?
Russo suggested that when AJ said he didn't want to be a part of the club anymore, that Gallows and Anderson beat his ass to the point where they have to wheel him out on a stretcher. Kevin Owens comes out and he's like, "Hey, AJ can't compete. Count him out. You know, I'll take the freaking qualifier without having to do anything." That's what the type of guy KO is. Yeah. You know, and they do the count out and it gets to like 7 and Styles comes out, you know, ripping the neck brace off and, down to the ring. The dude's like dead, but he's going to fight. And, that makes Styles look like a badass. Styles just took this huge beating. He's still going to fight. He's got heart. He's got determination. He's the ultimate, good guy underdog type thing. And he has a good match with Owens, but he's just too hurt. and he can't win. And Owens beats an injured AJ Styles thanks to Anderson and Gallows. Anderson and Gallows look great because they laid out Styles. Styles looks good in defeat because he went against all odds and still tried to compete in the match. And Owens gets his clean win over AJ, even though there were different circumstances involved. Everybody would have looked good. Raw would have ended on a decent note, and we would have wondered, well, where's AJ going to go with here against the Club? Instead, we got the shit book ending that WWE gave us, and it was enough to make me not want to watch any further WWE programming that night, when I normally always turn into the network after Raw to watch, Edge and Christian or Camp WWE or the Shane McMahon interview or whatever, and I didn't want to watch anything. I turned it off, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. And it's, like I said, when Vince Russo can creatively put together a better ending to Raw than WWE's own creative team can, there's a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Take away the creative, though. They had a hell of a match.
It was a great match with an absolutely awful finish.
Yeah, probably be one of the best television matches of the year, I would think. That'll be up there for television match of the year for sure. Owens went for the pop-up powerbomb. Styles avoided it, hits the Pele kick, and goes to the top rope for the forearm, but Owens kicks the top rope to knock Styles off of the ropes. That leads to the pop-up powerbomb after a 17-minute great main event, but as Matt said, Vince Russo did book better than the bookers of WWE, but Kevin Owens moves on to Money in the Bank. So we have Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn so far.
And Alberto Del Rio.
Oh, is he the SmackDown guy?
Yep. He beats.
I knew there was this.
He beat Zack Ryder in a qualifying match.
Oh, they teased us having Ryder being in the match.
Yep, Ryder and Del Rio. Del Rio wins. So I guess we'll find out whoever the seventh person is on Raw Monday.
I know you're not been a fan of Cool Dad, but I think Jericho in the match adds something to it. I think. I like it.
That was just fucking cool. I was just hoping Cool Dad went the fuck away after Extreme Rules, and the motherfucker still won't leave.
I don't want him to leave.
Every time I want him to leave, he won't leave, and every time I wish he'd stay, he leaves.
Keep wanting him to leave then.
Yeah. Thanks.
God, speculation on the seventh guy.
Honestly, what I would take everybody who lost their matches and do a battle royal, and whoever's out of that would get the seventh spot. That's what I would do.
I like that idea.
I would take the six guys who lost their matches in like a Money in the Bank sudden death qualifier. I'd put them in like a 6-man battle royal, and I would let the winner of that be the seventh man. Because there's definitely people that didn't qualify that I would be more than happy to see them in there. If they're not going to do something, obviously AJ. And if they're not going to do something like that, somebody like Bray Wyatt would be a perfect person to put in there. Randy Orton, anybody but John Cena. Don't put John Cena in the Money in the Bank, please. Just don't do it. I'm begging. Just put the damn United States title on him on Monday. Bring back the U.S. Open Challenge. And for fuck's sake, do not put him in Money in the Bank. Don't do it. Why are you trying to piss me off, JB? Will you stop?
You stop. That's going to do it for this edition of Lost in the Midcard. And tune in next week as we will hold our 15-round brand split draft. And earlier in the show, Matt drew SmackDown, I drew Raw. Matt drew the first pick, I drew the second pick. So we will work on that throughout the week. And once again, thank you to SpiderDuck.net for being our host, enabling us to be on iTunes, any of your favorite podcasting apps. Just search for Lost in the Midcard and subscribe to us if you haven't already. That way you can get yourself an episode delivered to you right away when it drops every Thursday and also every Monday after a WWE pay-per-view. We're also on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there, and the links to both of those are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard, and also on the Twitter at LATMC Podcast. Before we wrap things up here, Matt, give us some final thoughts as we write off.
It's been a roller coaster week to be a professional wrestling fan. Right now it's on the uptake. I hope it continues. I hope we get some really good news further about the draft and the brand split over the next week, and we have plenty more to talk about next week.
That is for damn sure. For Matt Black, this is Jeremy Bennett. Thank you for tuning in to Lost in the Midcard, and we'll catch you next week.